Hey, it's Chey. Welcome to the channel. I'm joined by Wes.
Hello, just call me Sarah Fear's #1 stan.
Literally, we have watched the Fear Street movies about 5 times each now. Let's just say we are the #1 fans of the century.
Literally obsessed.
We have already reviewed all 3 movies, but we decided, we are not done talking about it. We have found so many little hidden Easter eggs and so many things we want to talk about that we didn't actually cover in our other 3 videos. I will link those above and below for you, but this video we will be talking about the trilogy as a whole and just covering everything that we missed in our reviews and everything that we have found out since then. We are just so excited to talk about it and continue talking about it for the rest of our lives.
Yes, there is truly so much to say. After you watch the last film and you understand exactly what it was going for as a trilogy, it really just, I feel like there's just so much to dissect. We just watched all 3 movies again, and I noticed so many things this time watching them each in succession that I didn't notice before.
There are just so many tiny, the most minuscule little images or phrases that you hear a character saying that you're like, oh my god, that totally correlates to what they said in this movie.
Yes.
It's just so many things that I think that people underestimated exactly what these films were doing, so we're just here to give our final thoughts on this trilogy.
We're also going to get into favorite characters, favorite kills, favorite scenes, just really get into our favorites as far as just like a horror genre and everything that the trilogy brought as far as horror movies. Yeah. So, oh my god, there's so much to talk about.
There is.
Let's get into it.
To say.
So first, we just want to talk about how much we loved the trilogy as a trilogy itself and all of the things that these 3 movies were able to bring in and connect throughout 3 different films. One thing that I thought was so interesting were all of the parallels that were present in every movie.
The parallels are placed so precisely and so beautifully that I think a lot of people would miss them if they weren't paying attention. If you look away for 1 second, you're gonna miss what makes these movies magical. And for me, the parallels are something that I find so exciting and refreshing because you don't always get that in horror. You don't always get that connection because a lot of the times sequels and prequels are really sometimes feel disjointed or just feel like another rehashing of the same story. This is totally different.
What was your favorite parallel?
The parallel that I love the most, just because it is the most emotional, is definitely going to be the red moss.
Dang it, that's what I was gonna say.
Just how beautiful it is, and how in the beginning it's something that's scary. When Sam lands in the red moss and she bleeds on Sarah Fear's bones, you're like, oh my god, that's so creepy. And then in the next movie, in 1978, when the red moss is growing underneath the camp and it gets on Cindy's shirt and she's like, ooh, this red won't come out of my shirt. I just love how it grows from something scary to something beautiful. My favorite image from that parallel is just the rapidness at which we see the moss growing over time. I thought that was just so beautifully done.
Yes, oh my gosh, whenever they put the moss crown on Sarah Fear's head when they're burying her.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
I was like, I was literally tearing up this last time. It was so beautiful. And then at the very end, Sam and Dina are there on their date that they talked about in the first film with the cheeseburgers, listening to the Pixies, and they're standing on the red moss. Oh my god, and they're like, Sarah Fear is the reason that we are here.
You truly understand what it means at the end, and it just is so heartwarming and feels so good to know.
So emotional.
That Sarah got her vengeance, and the red moss truly helped that come to fruition.
Oh my god, I'm gonna cry thinking about it.
It does make me emotional, so let's move on.
Yes, okay. Another one that I really wanted to talk about is in 1994 when we have Dina, Sam, Josh, Kate, and Simon when they find Sarah Fear's body, and it's the 5 of them. And then in 1666, it's a parallel where it's when they're burying Sarah Fear's body, and it's Sam as Hannah Miller, Kate as Lizzie, and then Simon as Henry.
Hey, Flop.
And they're in the same spot.
That was really beautiful and touching.
It was so... I was like...
Yeah, I just love how the characters were used for the parallels. It was... And there are so many that we're not even talking about.
Yes, a lot of imagery.
Yes.
In 1666, when the kids die and there's the 12 body bags, same as in 1978 at the end when the campers died and there's 12 body bags.
Yeah. That is a truly haunting image.
It was... I was like, I will be thinking about that for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm. So the next thing we want to talk about is the unique storytelling that happens within the trilogy. Something that I really appreciate is how the story is told backwards. Normally, for me, I am someone who loves chronological order. I get really antsy when things skip back and forth, but when I noticed that this was going backwards in time, I accepted it and I went along for the ride. I think it did a really good job of setting things up and then paying them off later, which I was kind of scared about because I am a chronological boy. I just love things being told chronologically. I think it just builds the anticipation better, the suspense. But Fear Street Trilogy really turned me around on that.
Yes, I totally co-sign that. I was actually shocked that you liked that because you like are usually so against that. But I agree. Like, I just think that it's so interesting. Because really, you know, starting at the beginning and then going backwards, it's not what's going to happen, but what happened that got us to this point.
Yeah.
Which is always interesting to me, but I feel like this gets a double payoff because it's what happened to lead up to it, and then you still get what's going to ultimately happen, which I just thought was like really interesting and not something that we always get from movies.
They also did a lot of trickery at the end, the setup of the next movie. For example, showing us that Ziggy gets her stomach slit open, just things like that. I was like,
Shady.
Oh my god, we know who dies going in, and really they turned that around on us quickly.
You know, you think, you know, okay, Sarah Fear got hanged, that's still true, but you think it's because she's a witch and she cut off her hand on the Devil's Stone, so, you know, you're thinking, okay, but how? But really, she didn't do that, and yes, she did get hanged, but the circumstances around it were so much different than what we were expecting. It like literally blew my mind.
I was really happy that they did that. I know that there are some people who are a little upset about that because Sarah Fear in the Fear Street books, she really is a witch. So some people were upset that they changed the lore of Sarah Fear, but I wasn't. I think that I enjoyed it. I think it set up a really nice story.
I was caught off guard when Sarah wasn't a witch because I went in expecting to like totally stan this witch, and I was like, I want to see what they did to her that she put a curse. You know, it took me a second to accept it, but then when you get into like the emotional, you know, turmoil that she went through, it's like actually so heartbreaking, her story. And then it's an even like easier character to rally behind because she was so wronged.
Yeah.
You know, and I just love her. I love her.
It boils down to, well, in the books they are in Salem, but in the movie they are in Ohio. The witches that were accused of witchcraft back in the day weren't actually witches. You know, they were innocent women who were experiencing horrific trauma, just terrible things. And so I really felt like it played into that. It was giving like an honest nod to the things that actually happened in Salem and just showing that Sarah Fear, this lore and this myth that she was this evil, wicked witch who cursed the town, when really she was just an innocent little lesbian.
Literally, rip Sarah.
Yeah,
I love
so
you. Ugh, so good. It's literally so good. Another thing with the storytelling that I thought was so just cool was how they kept bringing back the cast.
Yes.
You know, we got the people from 1994 back to 1666. Same with the 78 people. We got Nurse Lane in literally all three movies. We got, I don't know if y'all noticed, Ziggy's dog in 1978 is the same dog as Mary Boy in 1666. We love a cameo.
Mary Boy. Here's the thing. In the Fear Street books, R.L. Stine is not afraid to kill animals. So as soon as an animal came on screen, I was expecting them to die. And many of the animals that came on screen did die. So whoever was the prop master, I feel sorry for you. Having to create that dead dog that looked so real. Horrible.
Yeah, it was a lot.
No more dead dogs, Lee Janiak. Please.
But yeah, I mean, I just thought that the cast did such a great job.
Yeah.
I think you got to see them kind of do dual roles, especially with Kiana Madeira. She was just like she shined as Sarah Fier, I thought.
Sarah Fier was my favorite role that she played.
Yeah, she was amazing. Mm-hmm. So I just thought that was like a really great choice to bring them back for 1666 because we loved them all so much.
And I also loved Olivia Scott Welch as Hannah Miller. I thought that was also my favorite. I think 1666 really is just, my fave. Yeah. But I just loved Hannah Miller also. So
I don't know if this is like controversial, but I feel like Sarah Fier and Hannah Miller had more chemistry than Sam and Dina.
You know what? I think so. And it might have been just because of what was happening.
How tragic it was.
In 94. Like, what they were experiencing. They had just broken up. Dina was trying to convince Sam of everything that was happening. So their chemistry was a little off because they were going through conflict. So I think seeing them in 1666, they were in love.
Yeah. Oh, I just felt so sad, but they were so cute. Mm-hmm. My little lesbian Puritans. So moving on with favorites, we're gonna do a little speed round.
Ooh, okay.
Of all of our favorite things in this movie. First, favorite character.
Oh my god. Sarah Fier.
Oh, I love her so much. Mine, I think I have to say Ziggy, but Sarah Fier and Kate. Oh my god, and Kate.
Here's the thing.
It's so hard.
My second choice was Cindy Berman.
Oh, don't get me started on Cindy.
And then it was Kate, Ziggy. Just the cast was an all-star cast, so it's really hard for me to pick, but I think Sarah Fier is my favorite.
Yeah, I go with Ziggy just because I think she was more developed than Kate was. Mm-hmm. And then Sarah, since you're saying Sarah, I love Sarah so much, mm-hmm. but I'm just going to say Ziggy just because I love Ziggy so much.
Ziggy, they're interchangeable for me. True, I can't pick
they're just like also good. Like any given day, ask me, I'm probably going to tell you a different name.
Yeah.
Next we have favorite kill.
My favorite kill is actually not within the main cast. It's when Cindy kills Tommy.
Oh, yes!
And she chops his head off with a shovel. Favorite part of the whole movie for me.
My god.
So good.
So good. I probably have to go with the bread slicer. How can you not?
That was my second choice.
It's so good, but like honestly, honorable mention for me is the opening of 1994. It's just such Scream vibes. I think that scene is so good.
Yeah.
Maya Hawke does so much with one scene, just like Drew Barrymore did. So good. So intense.
It's not a favorite of mine, but I think something that was beautifully shot. The kills that were beautifully shot were Cindy and Ziggy.
Oh my god.
Both of their death scenes were traumatic, but also iconic.
Yes. So actually, speaking of, the next question is favorite shot.
Okay, my favorite shot is the shot of Cindy and Ziggy as it is lifting off of the ground and you see them reaching out to each other. Oh
my god, it's so beautiful.
The trauma. I'll never forget that image.
I agree. I'm gonna say that's mine as well. But just to say a different one, I'll say in 1994 when Heather is being dragged and she's like, reaching for help.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I just think that's such a good picture. I think it's just because I keep seeing the picture on Twitter, but it's like stuck in my mind.
Yeah. Another honorable mention for me would be 1666 when Lizzie is handing out the berries.
Yes, I love that.
An iconic shot for me.
Oh my god. There's so many I could go on and on, but this is supposed to be a speed round, so we'll move on. Favorite scene.
Oh my god. My favorite scene is probably the scene when Nick Goode is on top of Dina trying to kill her, and she puts his hand on the blob. He's able to see everything he's done, and then her and little Miss Sarah Fier stab him right in the eyeball.
Period.
Just poetic justice and truly just satisfying for me, and I think that's my favorite scene.
I love that so much. So actually, mine is in a very similar vein. I think my favorite scene is when Sarah Fier finds out that Solomon Goode is the one who has summoned the devil. The acting between the two of them in that tunnel is so good. And then I thought the chase scene scene where he's chasing her through the tunnel and ultimately she gets her hand cut off while she's trying to escape. All of that was just so well done. It's so well acted. It's so creepy. It's honestly horrifying. Yeah. I loved it.
My reaction to that is when I realized what was happening and that Solomon was the witch.
Yes.
And that Sarah was actually an innocent person, because I was expecting her to be the witch, as I thought, because the Fear Street books, that's what led me to believe. I'd read them my whole life. So I instantly was like, we're about to watch him cut off her hand.
Yeah, you said it.
And then literally we watched as he stabbed her hand, ripped it off of her body, and just tossed it aside.
Literally.
Traumatizing.
Yeah. I think that is a really good point. I think that's another reason why I loved this scene, because it's truly the gag. It is the gag of the century when you find out that it's not Sarah, it's him, and you're just like, oh shit. Yeah. Like, what is about to happen for the rest of this movie? Everything that I knew to be true was wrong. Yeah. So... oh, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. It's so good. Okay, next we have... so we just talked about the favorite scene. What do you think is the scariest scene?
Ooh. I think for me, the scariest scene is probably the scene when all of the killers are coming for Ziggy and Cindy.
You took mine again! Oh! I should have gone first. No, that's mine too.
It's terrifying.
They're all like... and they're like looking, and they're coming from everywhere, literally from everywhere.
And can you imagine if... surely there are more killers, right?
Oh, there has to be.
There are so many killers on that wall. Could you imagine if all of them were coming for them? Oh my god,
it was only a matter of time.
It would have been a little too overwhelming, I feel like, but it was scary.
Off topic real quick, just to piggyback on that, one thing I do wish is that Cyrus Miller was one of the killers that pops up, because he's so scary with his little like hook that he hooked the little kid's eyes out. I thought he was really actually so creepy. I wish that he had been one of the ones that was chasing them.
Well, you know what, I can say that one of the scariest scenes then for probably both of us was going into the meeting hall and seeing all of the kids' eyes pulled
Absolutely, yes, because they're all, oh my god, oh, I'm getting sick just thinking about it.
And watching him tap his little poker on the podium just was gross.
I'm scared. Oh my god, it's so good. Next, we have favorite actor.
Yeah, so mine is Ashley Zuckerman. He was so good as Nick and Solomon. Like, first of all, evil.
So evil.
Second off, daddy. Like,
so hot.
It was hard to like hate him at first because I was like, he's so hot.
Especially as a Puritan.
But then it's easy to hate him because he's literally an asshole. But I think Ashley did such a good job with those two roles.
Yeah, I agree. I thought that he was the best one with the Puritan accent that they were going for. He never really had any slip ups. And he was just like, he switched so fast from being like really sweet to Sarah Fear to so menacing. Yeah. And I thought that was really good. For me, I would probably say McCabe Sly, who plays Tommy in 1978, and then he plays Mad Thomas in 1666. Yeah. The first time that I watched 78, I wasn't really that impressed with him. After watching it today, I was like, okay, he's actually really good. Yeah. Because you really do see the differences where he's like really sweet at the beginning and like once, the curse has been put on him, he's like changing, and I think he does a good job at that. Yeah. But I thought he was so good as Mad Thomas.
Mad Thomas really had my skin crawling. I was so disgusted, so aggravated, but it's because he was so good. He did such a good job. Yeah.
Oh, I just thought that he was actually like a real standout. Yeah. Great job. I hope that he gets cast in more roles.
Yeah, and even Lee Janiak said, like, McCabe filmed 1666 first, and he was so good in that originally the Nightwing killer was supposed to have the bag on his head the whole time. And she decided to let him be Tommy for most of the movie as the killer, which seeing Tommy killing people was really scary. So
it was, I mean, he was just like, he was so good. And then we got the iconic scene where she pulls the bag over his head and you're just like,
oh my god,
oh wow, like that's how it happened.
That's easily one of my favorite scenes also, is watching her pull that bag over his head and he gets up and he's suddenly, oh my god,
it's so good.
It was so good.
Okay, and then to follow up on that, we have favorite actress, which is so hard.
It's very hard. I think I'm gonna go with Sadie Sink. Sadie Sink, Emily Rudd, Kiana. So many. There are so many. And you know what? As much as I hate her, I'm gonna give a shout out to Goody Miller as much as she is a wicked bitch,
Literally.
she did a really good job.
Yeah. She was. I'm sure she's like the nicest person in real life. I hated her. She had like literally 2 minutes of screen time total, and I hated her so much.
She was the devil.
She was literally a devil, but I need you to pick one person.
I'm gonna say Sadie Sink.
Okay. It's so fitting that you said Sadie Sink because I'm saying Emily Rudd.
Yay!
When we were watching 78 for the very first time, I did not like Cindy for the first half. I thought she was really annoying. And then, all of a sudden, she took that man's head off with a shovel, and I was like...
And we say... Yeah.
My God.
She really did a 180 because we say we didn't like her at first, but it's because she had this facade that she was a good girl.
Yeah.
And I don't love that, I don't love a girl. I love a bad girl. So when she turned full on like badass bitch, I was here for it, and Cindy Berman stole my heart.
Yes, I just loved her, and then now every time that I've watched 78 Cents, I am enamored by her.
Oh yeah.
Like I just think that she's so good, especially in the second half. But like, I just want to see her in everything now.
And I think it's just really the chemistry between Sadie and Emily. I think they did such a good job. I really believed them as sisters, and their chemistry was amazing.
Totes. We got 2 more. Favorite killer?
Probably Tommy Slater. Just because he's so brutal, he's terrifying, he's fast. The outfit, you could be Tommy Slater for Halloween easily.
Easy, yeah. Totes.
But honorable mention to Ruby Lane.
Where is her EP? As he keeps saying, where is the album, sis?
I want to hear her in my AirPods immediately. No joke.
Yeah, she's really good. I'm just gonna throw like I'm gonna be a little different with this one. The one that really sticks out to me is the little boy with the baseball bat.
Yeah.
He's so scary to me. I wish we could learn more about him.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can in the future. He is terrifying.
An honorable mention would go to Ryan Torres as the Skullface, just because it's an homage to Scream. We love Scream, and I just think... also, though, I do want to point out, as much as that is an homage to Scream, that costume is on the book for Halloween Night 2 by R.L. Stine, which came out 2 years, I believe 2 years.
Hey, Flop.
Before Scream did. So really, who did it first?
Period, sister.
Really, R.L. Stine did it
Tell
first.
him.
Just want to point that out. A lot of people are saying, oh, they copied 100%. They didn't copy it.
They absolutely didn't copy
that.
it, bitch.
That art existed before Scream.
Yeah,
Just want to throw that out.
Yeah, so.
Ryan Torres.
And he kicked off the whole thing, so I think
did.
he deserves an honorable mention.
For sure.
Last, I want you to rank the movies based off of personal preference, not based off of what you think is the best one.
Okay, so honestly, I think it's backwards. 1666, 1978, 1994, just because I just love Puritan horror. I love watching people get dirty. And I just love that era. Honestly, the comfort one for me would probably be 94.
Yeah. Well, so I'm having a hard time with this. 66 is far and away my favorite. I would probably say 66, 94, and then 78 because, like you said, to me, 94 is a comfort movie. I think just because I love 90s slashers, Scream, Urban Legend, I Know What You Did Last Summer, Halloween H2O, like there's so many.
Okay, Kirby.
That reminds me of those.
Halloween, Texas Chainsaw, Dawn of the Dead, The Hills Have Eyes, Amityville Horror, Last House on the Left, Friday the 13th, A Nightmare on Elm Street, My Bloody Valentine, When a Stranger Calls, Prom Night, Black Christmas, House of Wax, The Fog, Piranha. Is one of those right?
But even though I think that 1978 is a better movie, and I am more drawn to the Berman sisters than I am to anyone in 94, but I think that 94 is a little more creative than 78. Because 78 is just a very straightforward slasher, Friday the 13th-esque, whereas 94 I think is taking more risks, and I appreciated that. It's so different from, you've never seen anything like 1994.
You've never seen anything like this trilogy.
No.
Truly.
Period.
I think that as much as this trilogy is an homage to horror and all of the things that have come before it, it really does develop its own world, its own identity, its own feeling and contrast to everything else that has come already. So I just appreciate it for that alone.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I think these movies came out and people just automatically wanted to hate them because they were trying to be different, while trying to still fit into the same realm.
Right.
So I just think that people had a heyday hating on them, and I didn't appreciate it, especially for tiny little minuscule things like anachronisms, when they'll accept anachronisms in other movies, but when it's Fear Street, let's...
God forbid a movie set in 1994 has a song from 1995.
Get the pitchforks.
Which, like, really, the song that I saw everyone talking about that came out in 1995, I didn't see anyone listening to that song. They just played it over the soundtrack to get you in the mood.
Yeah, and that's the thing,
you know?
Is that, are you telling me that you've never seen a movie that had a song that wasn't from the year the movie was set in? Come on. Like pick your battles here.
It's literally just, like, honestly baffling, but also not, because people can't just enjoy things sometimes. Which makes me sad for you.
Yeah, but I have seen more love.
Oh, 100% same.
It's like 10% hate, 90% love.
Yeah.
Which is why I think we are getting a spinoff series.
Please,
or
give me
another
a
trilogy.
series,
I'll take both.
No, yeah, like, we have everything.
Yeah.
I want merch. I want a spinoff. Like, I want a series that's based off of the books. I want a series that's based off of the other killers, because, like I said, I need to find out about this little baseball boy. We read an interview with Lee Janiak talking about the Humpty Dumpty killer, which is not in the movie. Look that up if you're curious, because it's wild. There's just so much that they could do. We could do another trilogy, because obviously someone else stole the book at the end.
True.
There's so much that they can do with this property.
I wouldn't mind seeing the main cast being brought back. Maybe not, as the next main cast, maybe as cameos.
Yeah, something.
Or we could also get it set in present time, where Dina, Josh, and Sam are older, and it's like a Ziggy situation where they're trying to help the new kids of Shadyside, or Sunnyvale. It could be Sunnyvale that's cursed this time.
It very well could.
We have
oh my
no
god.
clue what's gonna go.
There is so much.
There's a lot they could do, and Lee Janiak, I appreciate you so much for bringing this into my life. I'm just like so thrilled.
Clearly we can't stop just gushing about it. So we need more, bitch.
Please.
We need more.
Immediately.
I did read an interview where Lee was hinting, she said we definitely have ideas. So hopefully Netflix will see all the love that this movie is getting and give it the green light, sister.
Literally.
I need it. Tomorrow. Yesterday.
Oh, it's coming. I can feel it in my bones. Sarah Fear's bones, bitch.
Oh my god. Her little hand.
Her poor little hand. We said a lot of really good positive things. Do you want to touch on maybe something that you felt didn't work?
I didn't have a lot of problems because I was like, well, Ziggy, I'm pretty sure she was getting stabbed like a lot, which like you can get stabbed and die, but then I was like, well, maybe it's because Nick has a deal with the devil, so maybe he's like was somehow like he's able to bring her back. I don't know. The only thing that I felt didn't really work was that I don't think you can bring back someone who drowned with an EpiPen.
Yeah, which, I mean, they figured out they couldn't, so that's why they started doing the CPR.
Well, okay, I guess you're right.
But I felt like, I guess they just didn't connect.
She was already dead. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
In the moment, they were just making bad decisions.
Yeah.
They should have immediately resuscitated her,
Yeah.
and they decided to...
Like, they waited so long before they tried to do CPR on her,
Yeah.
so I'm like, I'm not a nurse, I don't know. But realistically, like, would she have been able to come back
I don't
after
know
that long?
Sam would have come back. What I
That
was
was
going
it.
to touch on was I felt like sometimes it was too easy for them to find what they were looking for.
Yes, I know what you're going to say.
For example, in 1978, of course, they're down underneath the camp, and Alice suddenly happens to be sitting next to Seraphir's hand, which that's a little more understandable. They don't know what's down there. She reaches in the moss, she gets the hand.
Right.
At the end of 1666, when they go looking for the hand, and it's at the Shadyside Mall, they only dug a little bit, and it was right there.
Literally.
And I was like, I felt like they at least should have been digging elbow deep into that tree to get.
And they were both like in the same spot, just like barely digging. I'm like, you should both be on opposite sides, like digging, bitch,
Unless Ziggy told them, like, oh, it's gonna be a foot away from the tree on the left north side. Who knows?
Yeah.
I just felt like sometimes it was too easy for them to get away. Just like as iconic as Tommy looks with his sack on his head. There just so happened to be a sack there for Sadie to grab to put over his head.
Yeah.
It's little things that made it really easy for them to get away, but you know, it's a horror movie.
Yeah. What can you do?
Yeah.
But those things, like,
they're so minuscule.
it doesn't really bother me that much.
It didn't bother
I still gave them all 5 stars.
It's because we've watched them so many times that we can notice things. That,
you start to nitpick a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. But we still love it. I gave all 3 5 stars.
Yes.
If you want to go read all of my 15 reviews on Letterboxd, you can go. I will link it below for you.
Go follow us.
But yeah, a lot of things are going to be happening on this channel from now on. If you didn't know, we do Fear Street Friday, where I read a Fear Street book and I explain the entire plot summary to him. He does a little reaction. And
They're super
those are
fun.
so fun. R.L. Stine is an amazing just creator of
He's
a world.
wild. His stories that he comes up with, I'm like,
yeah.
The fuck?
So many things. We have a lot of horror content coming, and we have a special announcement coming this week. Some things that we've conjured up, a little project we've been working on. But yeah, down in the comments, let's talk about the Fear Street trilogy. We would love to know your thoughts about it. If you want to know what we thought about each movie individually, those reviews are down below, and we'll probably link them above as well. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up. We would greatly appreciate it. Also, if you are not already subscribed, hit the subscribe button. If you love movies, music, pop culture, we would love to have you on my channel. We love y'all. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.